So you want to learn how to ice skate, but maybe you want to dip your toes in a little bit before you sign up for the lessons. Don't worry, I got you. In this video, I'm going to explain to you some basic skating skills. I'm going to guide you through gliding, how to fall safely, and the mechanics of stopping, as well as a few other essential moves. My goal is to make your first experience on the ice a safe, pleasant, and fun experience. So let's head over to a nearest rink, grab a pair of rental skates, and hit the ice. These new-to-you skills might feel a little bit awkward at first, especially when you start purposefully falling. But even if your first day skating is during a busy public session, that's okay. Try to find a quiet little corner where you can work on these skills and explore how your body feels on the ice. I have a feeling you're going to like how it feels. All right, ready to start? Let's go. I need y'all to understand from the get-go that it's not a matter of if you fall, it is when. And so the first skill we're going to learn today is how to fall safely. Let's watch this again in real time. I'm being a little bit extra, but if you're going to fall, you might as well try to do it with some style. Okay, this is how you fall safely. I'm going to need you to first start by bending your knees. Next, you're going to fall on your side. Either side works. What you want to avoid is falling forward onto your knees or backwards. If you do either of these, falling forward or falling backwards, it is basically guaranteeing that you're going to have a bad time. To get back up, you're going to get on your hands and knees. Put one foot onto the ice, and with your hands, either press off the ice or press off your knee, whichever feels more comfortable to you. Bring your feet together and slowly stand up. And then celebrate because you're absolutely killing your very first skill on the ice. I'm going to recap my instructions on screen, but I want to emphasize that it is importante to practice and get very comfortable with falling. I tell my students all the time that skating is what happens in between falling, and the better you get at falling, the better you get at skating. I've started incorporating when I teach lately, having my students practice falling with a little bit of speed. As you progress with your skating, you're more likely to fall while moving than standing. So it's good to know how it feels. It's good to know how falling feels with movement. As adults doing our everyday walking and dry land life, we just don't lose our balance and fall that often. And so it's super important that we practice it and we get very comfortable with the feeling. Okay, by now you're probably like, okay, Missy, we get it. Falling is important. Can we actually start trying to skate now? Well, y'all, first let me show you how you're not going to skate. Let's not LMFAO it up in this rink and shuffle. Okay? Pick up your knees. As you're picking up your knees, you're probably going to feel like you're being super extra. That's good. Skating is drama and the rink is your stage. When I teach kids, I tell them we're going to stomp and make as much noise as possible with our feet. I call this noisy feet. And the only way to stomp loudly is to really pick up your feet. That's my weird little trick to prevent the little ones from shuffling and to ease them into getting comfortable with walking on the ice. Next, focus on holding your arms up on your sides. This will probably feel weird and a little awkward because in everyday life, you don't walk around with your arms up like this, but trust me, it's going to help you so much with your balance. Keep your eyes looking straight ahead. I know the temptation is to look at the ice to check that your feet are doing exactly what you want them to do. Y'all need to fight this temptation with every fiber of your being. Keep your eyes looking forward and feel the step through your foot without relying on the visual feedback. This is how you build body awareness, aka the awareness of where your body is in space. Once you get the hang of marching, walking, stepping, etc., learning how to glide is the next evolution in your skating practice. I'm going to have you take 3 or 4 steps forward and then stop actively walking and hold your feet next to each other, approximately hip distance apart, whatever feels natural to you. Make sure you bend your knees. Nice, soft knees. The tendency is to lock out your knees, but instead you want to feel like you're settling down and relaxing into the ice. Arms are out to the side, Eyes are looking straight ahead. When I teach kids, I call gliding quiet feet. I can't take credit for this. I didn't make this up. I totally stole this from my fellow coach, Slava, because it totally works. I tell the little ones, we're going to do noisy feet, which is walking, marching, and then quiet feet to glide, and we want to be as quiet as a mouse. I always try to turn learning skating skills into a game because, in my honest opinion, kids learn best through play, and it's because they don't realize they're actually learning. They're just having fun. Let's challenge your balance with dips. When I'm teaching adults, I like to call dips squats because most adults have done some form of a squat while exercising, and so I find making the connection between dips and squats helps them to understand the move better. March and gain some speed. Glide on 2 feet. Sit down. Your arms are going to go out in front of you like you're reaching to grab something. Knees over toes, feet approximately hip width apart. It's okay to go a little bit wider. Sometimes that is necessary in order to get low enough. So the goal is to try to make a 90-degree angle with your legs. I'm going to lead you to pull an usher and get low, 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 low. Keep your weight around your mid-foot heel area of your blade. Sometimes it helps to think about sitting back into your heels. And also sometimes it helps to think about you want your hips to sink down directly between your knees. If you can get your booty lower than 90 degrees, congrats. If not, you can totally achieve this. It will just take some time and focus on building strength in your legs. Sometimes ankle and or hip flexibility play a role as well. So here's my plug that y'all need to start stretching your body. When I teach kids, they don't always understand just how low I want them to go. And so if I have an assistant during group class, I'll have us stretch a scarf between the two of us to make a visual bridge, and I'll have the kids do a dip underneath the scarf, kind of like a skating limbo kind of thing. Next up, let's learn how to do some sweet, smooth swizzles. I feel like swizzles are the first really skating specific move that you do. And by that, I mean there's nothing in your everyday dry land walking life that quite mimics a swizzle. All right. Y'all, I'm going to have you point your toes out to the side like you're making a V with your feet, or first position for my ballet folks. Next, you're going to bend your knees and start to widen the gap between your feet. Right when you feel like your feet are almost too far apart, you're going to point your toes back in together and close the circle. Swizzles are interesting, distinct, in part because in order to pull your feet back together, you have to use your inner thigh muscles. And these inner thigh muscles aren't frequently used during your everyday walking dry land life. And so my adult students all the time complain to me that their legs hurt after doing this. You know that DJ Khaled song, All I Do Is Win? Okay, so the chorus is up, down, up, down, up, down. Anyways, you want to think that from a standing position, you're going to bend your knees to start drawing a circle and straighten your knees to stand back up and close the circle. Up, down, up, down, up, down. The usual tips apply. Keep your eyes looking forward and put your hands in the air and let them stay there. I do want to mention that you don't want to go too wide. Two things will happen. You feel like you're about to collapse into a split and break your body in half, or you will get stuck and lose all your momentum. Most likely both will happen. Make your swizzles a manageable size. Also, when you first learn a swizzle, it can be hard to gain momentum. So if you find yourself getting stuck halfway through the swizzle, take a few steps, do a 2-foot glide, and then a tempo swizzle. Speaking of momentum, let's start to control all that beautiful speed and learn how to stop. If you're taking group classes, the first stop you learn is called a snowplow stop. I always start my students at the wall. You want to be facing the wall and holding onto the top in order to help you maintain your balance. You're going to shift your weight onto one foot and push off to the side with the opposite foot. Focus on pushing with your heels, not your toes. If snow starts to accumulate, that's a sign that you are doing this correctly. Switch your feet and then try this exercise on the opposite side. You'll probably feel a slight difference between the two sides. One side would probably feel more comfortable to you than the opposite side. And that's totally normal because we all have a leg that we prefer to balance on. Once you get comfortable with one foot at a time, try pushing both feet apart. You want to think that your weight is going directly down between your feet. When I do this exercise with kids, I encourage them to make as much snow as possible while we are at the wall. Once they have made a ton of snow, I'll have them gather it, and on a count of 3, we'll throw the snow into the air. Or I'll have them throw the snowball at the window in front of the bleachers where their parents are sitting. Usually by the second week, the kids are super into making snow, and their stops subsequently improve tremendously. Sometimes you gotta give a little to gain a lot. All right, moving on to doing our stops with movement. I'm gonna have you take a few steps and into a 2-foot glide. Bend those knees and focus on pushing your heels apart. It's okay if it doesn't work immediately. It takes a hot second to figure out your balance and just how much pressure you need in order to push your heels apart. If you find it difficult to push with both feet at the same time, balance on one leg and push out with the other. Either way is correct. Remember, the goal is to stop. If it's easier for you to stop with 1 foot instead of 2, do that. Also, it is super important to bend your knees and keep them bent as you stop. I see skaters all the time get ready to stop, and then all of a sudden they pop up into straight legs. By bending your knees, you'll have an easier time applying pressure into the ice. When I teach kids, they'll frequently try to stop for about half a second, and then they will declare that it's not working. In skating, you need to slow down into a stop. You're not going to slam into a stop. If you slammed into a stop, at best you'll stumble, and at worst you'll probably fall over forward because all of that energy, momentum is still stored into your body. So it's a lot better to gradually slow into a stop. If you made it to the end of this video, I appreciate you. Drop me a comment if you like this video and let me know if you have any questions or found any of my explanations confusing. Next video focuses on backward skating, so subscribe so you don't miss the next one in this series. Have a great one, and if you use any of my tips, please hashtag me at #SkateWithMissy. And until next time, have fun skating.